Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 2, playing through my first time experiencing Alpha 3 of OSTRIV, which is a city management sim. And thank you for all the great feedback and all the support for me doing this game. And if you didn't see the first episode where I began this village, you can click on the link in the description. It'll take you back to episode 1. We'll do this every so often. It seems to be a nice diversion from the typical strategy game. So we are into September of 1722. And many of you asked about, well, do you even really need to have food this early? The answer is really no, you don't, because as I pointed out in the first episode, our settlers brought with them a pretty nice supply of potatoes and of flour to get them started. I'm just trying to get ahead of the game. I'm trying to build up a nice surplus so that as we invite new folks to join the village, we will be on top of that and we don't find ourselves trying to play catch up. You also correctly pointed out that I didn't, in fact, plant wheat in one field and potatoes in the other, but rather wheat in both. I set up potatoes as our second crop rather than the initial crop here for this one. So I'm going to set it as fallow for now. I just want to kind of see where we're at with, you can see here we used up more than half of those nutrients there. So we're not going to be able to do wheat again. Sunflowers obviously have, they're a great cash crop if you make sunflower oil. We're not quite there yet. I'm actually going to do hemp only because hemp actually kind of uses different resources, and it's a good way. Buckwheat's also a good way to do that. In fact, maybe we'll do a little buckwheat as well. We'll get those going for next season. And then we'll actually probably end up making them both fallow after that. So we'll actually get a third one going that we'll set for this next season that we will do potatoes in. So we'll keep a steady kind of addition of things. And we eventually might have more than 3 fields, just because that way we can leave some fallow. Oh, I did that wrong. Hold on. Got to go this way first. So we're going to set this one to be potatoes next season. And then we've got to go ahead and activate it. And then that'll all happen next season. Right now we've got to start preparing for winter. So I want to look and see kind of where we are on all of our various things. Are we good on those? I think we're good on thatch at the moment. We've still got 900. We can always send somebody to work at the thatchery if we need to. But I feel like we're pretty good right now. So let's go ahead and skip ahead a bit. So I've gone ahead and built another cart parking. We're going to put it over here by the farm, and we've queued up 4 carts. So we'll give our carpenter something to do. We can start working on some new carts. We also really need to be repairing these other ones. You can see these ones are in need of repair, and I'm not entirely sure how to go about ordering those repairs. Or you can copy buildings. That's kind of cool. Other than that, really, right now, we're going to kind of just look at our resources. We're going to build a town hall sooner rather than later, but I want to make sure that we're on top of everything else, because I'm a little concerned about my iron supply, that we're going to need some iron at some point, so I'm thinking about trading. But like I said, we want to create some cash crops or some surplus crops that we'll be able to trade. And that'll happen once we get our supply of hemp after the next season. So probably a year from now, maybe in the fall of 1773, we will think about building the trading post, and hopefully by then we will have begun creating the ability. I think it's a press, to be able to make the olive oil, or the not olive oil, sunflower oil, because that's something we can trade as a cash crop. We had another family join, and we are now maxed out on housing right now. So that should pretty well fill all the jobs that we currently have. We've got 46 people in the village now. And as someone mentioned, we've actually got, holy cow, do we really have somebody who's that old in our village? All right, we got to pause here for a second, because I kind of need to see who this old person is. We got somebody who's 94 years old. So this family here that just moved in, the father, Timothy, is 55. He's got a wife, 43. They've got 15 and 11-year-old children, and then 3 of the 4 grandparents are still living in this family. That is amazing. So they've settled recently, and they brought some resources with them, so they should be good for a while. But we're going to need to make sure that there are jobs for all these folks. Now, I did kind of kick out the workers from the farm because obviously right now we don't really need farmers. But I'm kind of looking elsewhere. We're going to go ahead and open up the job for the forestry. We definitely need to get the smithy going again, and we're going to need to create some more charcoal for that. And then, of course, our fishermen, which they're going to get kind of bored pretty soon here. We're going to need a supply of salt so that we can do that. And we're also going to need a worker over here at the boatyard so that we can repair this damaged boat. So hopefully that's something they just kind of go out and do on their own. I'm not sure if that's the case. But thinking ahead, what's going on here? Not enough workers to chop trees. We need 2 workers for that. So thinking ahead, of course, we're going to just be prepared for the next planting season. But the next area of production, of course, is going to be looking at being able to make sunflower oil. And I'm just trying to remember exactly where that is. I'm looking through all the available options that we have here. Oil workshop. There it is right there. So we make oil from sunflower seeds. Takes a lot. It takes 104 nails, among other things. We're not going to waste resources to build something we can't use quite yet. So one of the other things that's cool about this is, of course, when you go into the higher options, you can see with each of our different areas for work, you can choose whether or not they'll hire men and women for laborers. You can choose the limit to the number of laborers. Laborers are your unskilled workers. They're the people that can do any task. Like, they're the ones that are going to go out and help in the fields when it comes time to do that. But they're not specifically skilled in a particular area. And you can also raise or lower the wage to put more of a priority on that task. So, for example, forestry is kind of a low priority task for me right now because we're maxing out on that resource. So I can lower the wage for that because it's not necessary to pay people as much. People will only take that job then when there's nothing else to do. Whereas, obviously, with something like the farm, we need that to be more of a priority. So I can't hire women for some jobs, as you can see. So those are all kind of things we have to think about. And when you have the town hall, a lot of that stuff gets a lot easier to manage. So I've decided I'm going to go ahead and build the town hall. And there's a couple of reasons why. Number one, I've got the resources for it. Number two, a lot of my workforce is actually kind of bored right now because they don't have any jobs to do. So for example, I could make more wood, but I'm maxed out on my wood. So this way, this gives me a use for wood. It also gets my folks put to work, and it's going to give me a lot of nice options as far as control over things. And I don't really have anything else that it's a big priority for me to build. So we're going to get this built, and then you're going to see all of the new options that will become available to me when I get that town hall. I actually like to sit here and watch, and I've kind of come in at a low angle so you can start to get a little easier, a nicer view of it. And of course, as soon as February is over, I think the snow should clear up. So right now we're just gathering all the resources. We still need another 5,200 wood and 1,400 clay. And you can see all the folks are dropping those off. We've got the carts going. And it looks like we're getting we got our carts repaired because we had some available workers. So pretty much all of our jobs are actually being filled right now. So we're at a nice place economically where we've got enough supply and demand for the jobs at hand. We don't have people out of work, but we don't have so many jobs that we don't have enough people to fill them either. So it's kind of a nice mix of the two. All right, so we're getting into March and the town hall is starting to go up. All resources are collected. But of course, there's a long way to go on the building itself. Now, I want to go ahead and look over here at some of the other things that are happening. Like right now, it's time to start planting. So we're going to get hemp going. We're also going to get our buckwheat going. And then we're going to get our potatoes going. So all three of those are happening. And you can see the huge number of laborers we have doing that. We've actually got to get some workers going. And we actually don't have, well, I guess we do have some workers available for that. So we're gonna put that at 110% because when the time comes that we need people for those tasks, we need those workers available for that. All right, back to the town hall, which is very nearly complete now. We're on our last phase of that, so by the middle of March, we're going to have ourselves a town hall. That'll be nice. There it is. All right, let's pause for a second, and let's go ahead and take a look at the town hall. We now have a mayor. Let's take a look at our mayor. Our mayor is Ihor Kin. He's 33 years old. He's only got 1 out of 5 on education. Education is not an option for us right now, but he lives right there. So, hey, congratulations. Good for him. So now we look at the population and economy through the town hall. Because what this now allows us to do is to manage the basic monthly wage on average. So if it's 100%, it's 100% of this. So if something's set to 110%, it's going to be 110% of whatever this amount is that I set. And we can kind of manage our economy, our income versus expenses based on these wages. We can also raise and lower the cost of goods that we're selling back to our people. And we can raise and lower the rent. So right now, we've got a nice balance. We're actually bringing in more than we're spending. So we'll keep everything where it is. But that's something we can manage that way. We get through this year. We start producing our cash crops. We'll start thinking about getting some more folks in here. We don't have enough food variety because these folks are basically eating potatoes and flour and nothing else. So we're going to need to start thinking about getting them some meat, which is going to be a big step in things because that's going to require trading so that we can start bringing in animals. We're also going to have to produce feed for those animals. So when you bring animals into the mix, it gets really kind of rather complicated. They should have fish, though. So there we go. We're getting some fish for those folks. Are we producing enough fish? Yeah, we're producing a ton of fish. What we need is salt so that we can produce dried fish. That'll make a big difference for that. So again, we've got a lot of resources available right now as far as wood and iron go. So I'm going to build a granary up here near the farm. Just give us an additional place for food to be stored. As we're starting to produce more and more resources, I want to have those options available. Also, it gives my people something to do. And then we're going to go ahead and look at the oil workshop. We'll get that going. And again, I'm going to try to put that up close to where we're producing the sunflowers. So we'll get those 2 building projects going. That's going to use a lot of wood and nails, but I've got a lot of iron still. So I'm not too worried about that at the moment. We don't have enough workers to chop trees, but we've got plenty of wood at the moment. So I got to look at what we do have our workers doing because we may need to cut down in some other areas. Like right now, we're producing plenty of fish. The fish isn't getting from here to where it needs to be right now. So I guess we can cut out one of those folks and maybe get them working somewhere else. Probably can go down to 1 smithy. We're actually not enough charcoal at the moment. We're working on more. Carpentry, same thing. Probably can go down to 1 right now. Our smithy keeps falling behind on making nails and such because they keep waiting on charcoal. So I'm actually going to go ahead and make a second charcoal pile so we don't run into that problem anymore. And you can see all of our laborers are like, oh, something to do, because the laborers have been kind of bored. So everybody went and grabbed some wood for the charcoal pile, and they threw it up there real quick. And very quickly got that going. We've got 1 charcoal pile done, and you can see our smithies are like, yes, charcoal at last. Now we can get back to making nails because we're waiting on nails to get our building projects done. All right, our granary is complete, or nearly so, here in June. There we go. We'll have to assign a worker to that. We can add what resources we're going to store there. And we're basically just going to store whatever we produce, which right now is fish, flour, potato, sunflowers, wheat, sunflower oil, and that's about it. So we're going to get the oil workshop going. We're definitely at that place, though, where now we're not going to have enough workers for everything. So we're going to have to get some more homes built, but then also think about what other things we're going to need in order to allow for workers. Let's take a look at that real quick. Let's click on here and look at our population. No housing, no jobs available. So we're going to have plenty of jobs available. That's not going to be an issue at all. And we did have this one fallow. I don't know why I thought I had that set for producing buckwheat, or maybe we just don't have the resources to do that. I don't know. But it's fallow. That's not a huge deal right now. Let's go ahead and create another fisher job because we're getting low on those. So just waiting on housing now. We do have jobs available. Let's look at the economy. We're actually in the hole some right now, and we've got to be careful we don't get too far in the hole. So let's think about how we're going to balance those things. We're going to go ahead and raise prices up a little bit, and we'll raise rent. I want to keep wages the same, and we'll see how much that does to balance things. Like I said, we're going to have cash crops soon, and that's going to help a lot. That'll allow us to make up some of that difference when we start producing oil in the oil workshop. I don't know why I find such satisfaction in watching these buildings go up, but I really do. I wish I could slow it down and watch it a little slower, but we just have too much we're trying to get done here. So we're watching our oil workshop go up. It's going up fast. We've got 3 guys working on it right now. We're adding the clay to the mix, getting our walls put up. And then we'll add some more nails and wood, and this thing will be finished, and we will be ready for the harvest of our first crop of... We don't have sunflowers, do we? What was I thinking? I didn't plant sunflowers. See, this is what happens when I'm so busy trying to narrate something that I don't actually take the time to pay attention to whether or not I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So next season, I mean, this building's basically just going to sit here for a season, but it's ready now. Next season, we will definitely plant probably multiple crops of sunflowers. And I'm going to go ahead and actually get another field going, because we're going to have a few that are fallow, and we'll just deactivate those fields when the time comes. So as soon as it gets to winter, I'll deal with managing all these fields, and we'll see whether or not we need to build another one on top of that. But otherwise, we're in pretty good shape. We don't have enough workers here for the forestry. That's not a huge deal right now. We're working on getting this other house built, and hopefully we'll get another family moved in, and that'll solve our worker issue. So we did have a new family move in, and you can see them here. So we're once again out of room. So right now we're just trying to manage the resources. We've gathered all the crops for this year, and we've started placing some of those in the granary, but we've got a little bit of an issue of kind of supply. We're not keeping laborers active enough in bringing the food to the market stall in order to turn around and sell it. And I'm wondering whether or not we might not need another one of those to make that happen. But at the moment we seem to be okay. So we're going to get through this winter, and then next year we're going to have to think about trading. Once we get everything else taken care of, we definitely need to think about getting additional crops. You can see we're starting to run low on potatoes now. A lot of these families are low on potatoes, so thankfully we got a crop of potatoes harvested, and that should alleviate that, but it just seems like we're having trouble getting them to the people. So I don't know if I need to build another market stall or what, but you can see right now we're waiting on getting potatoes there. Okay, so building the second market stall seems to have at least somewhat alleviated the growing crisis of people not having enough potatoes and fish and those sorts of things. So we're still having trouble getting fish to the market stall there. Looks like we got some delivered there. So I'm basically providing the same resources at both firewood, potato, flour, and fish. We're just doing it at 2 separate locations now. So I'm hoping that alleviates some of that issue. Now that we're into November, I think we can probably start thinking about what's going to be next for these fields. And at the moment, most of our fields are in pretty good shape. We're going to go ahead and do hemp in this one now. And we'll use that to make clothing when the time comes. This one we're going to go ahead and lay fallow this time around, which I guess probably should mean that we're going to make that no longer active, because I think we can only have 3 active fields anyway. So this one's going to be sunflower. We need to make sure that we do that now. We'll do wheat here. We're going to do hemp there. I'm actually rather inclined to maybe do 2 fields of sunflower, because I feel like we probably have, yeah, we've got a ton of flour. We don't have a ton of wheat. I also need to think about the needs of my people. We're not quite ready for a full-on church, because a church would be an absolutely enormous undertaking. But at the very least for now, I do want to put a small chapel over here by where we're going to have our cemetery. We've only got 3 burial plots there. As those start getting used, we'll put some new ones. But a small chapel doesn't take a lot to build, but it would at least be something nice to have for our people. So we'll get through this year. We'll get into next year, and then I think we'll probably wrap this up. So there's our chapel. People seem to be using it. Oh, and just in time, too, because we've had our first death. And there you have it right there. That's really cool. You get to see the dates, their birth and death dates. So that's awesome. So not awesome, obviously, for them, but we're just going to use the duplicate tool. Is kind of the easiest way to do this, really. But as someone who's passionate about my family history, little things like that, just I appreciate having something like that. That's really cool. One of the other things I want to keep an eye on is the wealth in the households. And it looks like most of them are doing pretty well. We got a few that are low. And we can always give assistance to those families as needed. But it looks like for the most part, a lot of these families have 90 or 100 or even more. So they're doing pretty well for themselves. So that tells me that I need to just keep, I've raised my market products price to 130%. I've lowered wages a little bit, because you see I'm still not breaking even on our balances right now. We're going to go ahead and lower our wages a little bit more, raise our rent a little bit more, and then we'll help out the families that might be struggling. But for the most part, they're doing okay. I've gone ahead and queued up another house to build so we can get another family in, continue to make sure we have enough workers for everything. But this year the priority is harvesting that sunflowers so that we can start producing I keep saying olive oil, sunflower oil, which is going to allow us a cash crop that we can sell to other cities. And once we start producing that, we'll build our trading post, we'll start trading, and then we'll start thinking about animals. Animals not only for beasts of burden, oxen that we can use to help pull carts, but also so we can feed our people. All right, the house is complete, and just as soon as it is complete, a new family is settling our town. So we've got 2 new adults. We've got a construction worker. Christina's unemployed, but she will find work soon enough. And they've got a little guy as well. So not a lot of wealth that they're bringing with them, but hopefully that will change now as we get into the work season. We'll get planting going. Looks like everything else is kind of up and running at the moment. Let's look at our economy. We're still not quite making a profit. We're just spending a little bit. Oh, there we go. That went up. So some folks must have bought some stuff. So we'll keep an eye on that. We can make up some of that balance with our cash crops, but not all of it. I'm going to think about what comes next, too. We're going to start thinking about building, going ahead and building this trading post. Even if it just kind of sits there unused for now, we might as well get on it. And that'll be one less thing we have to deal with later. So where are we going to build this? Because honestly, I don't want to build it right on top of everything else, and I don't want to put it out here where we're going to try to put more of our farms. All right, can't really go there either. But this is kind of our town center. Maybe what I need to do is I need to move this cart or this market stall. Can we move it? I don't know if that's really a thing we can do. We can really only demolish it. So you know what? Honestly, for now, we'll just put the trading post out here somewhere. We'll remove those trees that are in the way, and we'll put it right there. So this has been kind of a slow process because we're trying to cut down all these trees. Still got 10 more trees we've got to clear out of the way, and we're actually kind of maxed out on all the wood. So I'm thinking maybe now's the time to go ahead and look at what else we can build to use up some of that wood. So I'm going to go ahead and I think queue up another home, and we'll put those folks right out here if we can. So that'll give us a use for some more of that wood. I got to keep one eye on our iron supply, because we can't run out of iron and then run out of nails before this trading post is complete, because we'll have no way to acquire nails short of tearing down buildings. I've gone ahead and hired some more fishermen as well, because our fish is being eaten faster than we can produce it, to the point where I'm thinking we're probably at the place we're going to need a second fishing dock, which is going to require even more workers. So it's that constant balance. You know, you're constantly balancing and managing resources as you go. That's how all games like this are. I like it. It's a strategy. Sunflowers, wheat, and hemp all being produced at the moment. That windmill has not stopped since I got it going. Right now, though, we still have 7 more trees to get cleared, but we're in no hurry on the trading post because we're not going to have anything to trade for a little while yet. So economically, we're doing well. We're into May, almost into June now, and we're actually producing a positive balance at the moment. If that continues, we'll probably adjust our prices a little bit. Want to be fair to the workers. Don't want to kind of stick it to them too much. Oh, sunflower oil. Yeah, people are going to want some of that too, aren't they? So how are we doing on producing fish? It seems like we're not staying on top of that very well. We've got plenty of potatoes, plenty of flour, plenty of wheat. So much so that I probably didn't need to produce wheat this year in the harvest. We definitely won't next year. But we just can't keep up on the fish. So once we finish this building project here and we get this other house built, next step will be another fishing dock. All right, so we're completing this house right here. We've got one more tree. Oh, all the trees are now clear. So another house is complete. That'll be another place for somebody to move into. One of the things I think it's kind of cool is you notice the houses look a little different from one to the next. They don't all, well, I guess it's just where we are looking at it from, huh? But still kind of cool the way we have them set. So we're going to go ahead and get this trading post complete. We're going to be doing our harvest here, but that's where we're going to wrap things up for this episode. A lot still to go. We haven't even scratched the surface of all of the things that we're going to have to build and manage. We're going to get into trading next episode. We're going to start selling some crops. We're going to start exploring who the other villages are. We're going to manage all of that. And then we're going to start building some additional farms, getting some animals, some livestock. So much more to do. Let me know your thoughts. Use the comment section below. Drop a like if you would. And we will see you again next time. Be safe, everybody.